yet another round the table, an initiative presented and promoted, managed and produced by Team Unity Dominica on behalf of a progressive, or I should say, a more progressive political conversation. And on today's program, I am honored to be asked to play host of, we're going to look at the issue of the electricity problem that seems to be gripping the nation as we speak. And we have framed our discussion today on the round table as, and I quote, unreliable and inconsistent supply of power and how this could affect national productivity and security. That's the framing. Carlos joins me on this program. Carlos has particular expertise in that topic, so he's here as a member and also as a resource person to add to the content, to add to the discussion, to add to the narrative. We hope that those of you who will join, like either live or after, will find some good reason in our conversation and could also include your own views as to how our topic can help push forward a very responsible conversation. One of the things we do as a movement is never to sway away from burning issues, but do not become too consumed in hopscotch politics. We don't just jump from topic to topic to topic to topic. When there is a topic that needs to be totally dealt with, we spend time on the topic and we will deal with another topic when we think we should. But for now, we do not think that the focus should be taken away from the sort of crisis which is the current situation. And I say so with pun intended. We have a current situation with inconsistency of supply and unreliability of supply. And this is our topic for today for 45 to 50 minutes. We hope you enjoy it. So let me say good afternoon to Carlos Charles. He is the Unity leader of Team Unity Dominica. And as I said, Carlos, you have some expertise. So let us begin, first of all, by telling us a little bit about that expertise that you have, and then we will dive into the discussion at hand.
Well, say, Alex, I'm not an electrical engineer. I'll put that first off. But I have studied electrical engineering as part of my education process coming up before I delved in the productive sector and entered the field of information technology. So, of course, being part of information technology, you have to know a bit about power, which is what is used to power the information technology products that we use, the IT products, to power your servers, to power your computers, even the basic telephones. So back in the my mapping days, all those are things that we would have to keep in mind when doing our setups. Make sure that we have enough generation capacity to sustain the equipment that we have for our subscriber base and keep the equipment running, so to speak, if they in the unlikely event of a power loss. And also to transition between self-generation and the utility supply. So for those you would have to have your UPS systems, which are uninterruptible power supply setups that you use to not only to transition between the network and and your own self-generation setups, but also to maintain a smooth supply of electricity, so to protect your equipment.
Good. So I find your opening to be very eye opening, right on point. You sound eloquent and learned. So even before I continue with the focus on Domlek, my brother, there are conversations had on the media with leaders of parties and others speaking about issues like that. Have you ever been invited? And if so, why haven't you been on one of those programs? Because I find whenever I speak with you, that you bring a sort of fresh perspective. And if that is the case, why don't you, when you're invited, go on those programs on the View and and hang and whatever block, whatever it is? Why don't you at least go when you're invited?
Well, first of all, Alex, I'm not going to invite myself to a program, so to speak. I'm not going to invite myself to a program.
Yeah, but mm,
If I'm invited to a program, I will make myself available. I've been on a couple programs. I think if Dr. Simon Mafia have been there a few times, discussed certain pertinent issues, and that's about it.
now I'm not talking about push past 10. This is a social media outlet doing very well, I must say so as well.
No, no,
I'm
well,
talking about the
well, on
traditional
Q95.
low media, those Dominican media that normally have people on speaking.
Yes,
Why don't
she does a program on Q95,
but
and
she's
she
not Q95. Q95 has its own programming. Q95 has its own programming, and I hear them on with certain programs very often with different leaders of different parties. Why
well, yes,
don't you go on?
I've pointed that out to certain people on numerous occasions. I have no idea why they choose not to invite not only me but you as well, because I know you used to be a regular contributor on Q95 on the morning programs.
Well,
Uh,
I don't have to go because I'm not quote unquote a politician, but you are the leader.
look, TDN TV is confirming that I have been on Roots Connections on Q95.
Roots Connection is not a Q95 program.
It
That
is
is a program produced on Q95 by Simone.
okay. Well,
The Q95 programs, you know them. They're on every day and some once a week. And the DBS program and the Vibes program and the Kyrie program, you know those programs. The last I checked, the proprietor of Roots Connection is my wonderful sister and friend, Simone.
well,
So,
I cannot comment on that. Short of to say that I'm available if anyone wants to ask
okay,
any question. But
thank you.
TVN TV is commenting that you are wrong, and that the
Roots Connection is a Q95 program.
yeah, that's what he's saying, and it's just hosted by Dr. Simon.
Oh, but that is not well. I'm corrected here. I got it that Roots Connection was a Dr. Simon program aired on Q95. That is the case. I retracted everything, and you have been on Q through Dr. Simon. All right, I didn't know that to be the case.
Well, it is what it is, brother. We keep it moving. But notwithstanding all of this, I am here, and this power in unreliability or an inconsistency issue is sorry for cutting what I was saying short, but people say that we need to they tired of the politics, but politics is what brought us here. That is what brought us here. We the local power company is largely a monopoly, and that is so because of politics. Our government and our government systems have, from since beginning, put Domlec as the sole electricity provider for the island. Now they have structured things in such a way that Domlec, you have no way of controlling, with the exception of the IRC. your bill, so to speak. So your fuel surcharge is affected by the cost of fuel, and largely all of us Dominicans, we depend on that. We depend on Dominic to live our daily lives, to power or fans or refrigerators, keep our meat frozen and so on, to to use our Wi-Fi, and the list goes on, the list goes on. And the cost for setting up self-generation supply for the average consumer, the entry is too high that everybody will not be able to afford, especially with the present economic situation in Dominica. So we don't have a choice. We have to depend on Dominic, and there's no other company providing electricity in Dominica. Dominic has made it clear that their generators have been past due for retirement. They have been there for over 47 years. That's almost my age, almost Alex's age, that these generators have been there. And and more than the age of a lot of the people in Dominica. And these generators are unable to provide the power that the country is demanding as a whole. So they now have had to resort to, put it in simple terms, what we are accustomed of hearing from since time eternal, load shedding. So to prevent island-wide blackouts, they have to shut down power on one side of the island to maintain the power on the other side of the island. So if everybody has to be on at the same time, everybody will go down, and we don't want that. My thing is, why have we gotten to that point? Did we need uh, engineers from Venezuela to come and tell us what the persons who are employed in Domlec have already been telling us? Well, not us, but they would have told the ones responsible the case. And it brings to question, how did we get back Domlec from the foreign owned? I think they were owned by a company named Emera, and they sold Domlec back to Dominica, to Dominica's government at a good price. So we were clapping, yeah, good job, Mr. Government, for buying back Domlec. Now we know why. And on Friday past, there was a meet. There was Dominic attempted to bring the country to abreast as to the current state of how things are, and probably we should take a listen to it. It's about, I think they were there for about 20 minutes, but the genesis of what was said, we should take that in first before we comment further. What do you think, Alex?
Well, it's you. I'm not sure how much time are we going to have the information on for. Because people would have heard it before, or are they hearing it here for the first time?
No, people would have heard it before,
So you should play
but
highlights. You should play highlights. Do you have highlights?
no, I don't have highlights. I have the program in its entirety.
You're talking about 20 something minutes. Well, that's a bit much. Probably we can get the gist of it, get the first part of it and see.
Yes,
But I don't think we should play the entire thing, but we want to keep our people and we want to have time to do the analysis.
that, and that is fine. So we can take the first couple minutes of it with Mr. Stamp, who is the generation manager, I think he is, and he was being interviewed by the PRO, Mrs. Adina Bellot Valentine, and keep trying to keep us abreast of what is going on.
Yeah, so let's listen to the officials.
census report, our available generation capacity was 15.55 megawatts, 15 and a half megawatts roughly. Our projected peak load, and the peak load is a measure of what the customers are demanding, is projected to be 17.25 megawatts. This means there's a gap of about 1.7 megawatts of demand that we are not able to fill. So if we were to attempt to try and fill this demand, then we would have a system collapse because the generators are designed that if we try to put more load on them that they are rated or capable of managing, what happens is that they trip off and then you have a cascade and then you have a total blackout. So to avoid that, we have to manage the demand and manage the expectation. Coupled with that, I checked the lake level. It's just 4.61 megawatts. And I know we have had some rains recently, a few days of rain, but that rain was just not enough to bring the lake level up to the required capacity. And when we take the weather report today, we're looking at just a 24% chance of rain based on the forecast so far. So it's not looking good that we can increase that capacity by hydro mix. So because of that shortfall, we have to then schedule outages in order for us to be able to meet the rest of the demand without affecting the system. So that's basically what we have to do. From this, what happens is that the system control, the dispatch center, the leaders there, the supervisor, puts together a load management program. And that load management program, after he has assessed the gap, that load management program is in two phases. First phase is what we call the interruptible agreement phase. What that involves is that we speak to large customers with large own generating capacity, and we have an agreement for them to get off the grid to free up that load, that capacity for others, basically. So that is our first approach in load management. And then the load shedding part of it comes in after we've done that. And in planning the load shedding, the two key things are considered. One, we do not want, so we have to rotate it because we do not want customers to be consistently on the load shedding program. So we set up a schedule and we rotate it so that it is spread across the island. Also, another key principle that we look at is we try to ensure we minimize the disruption in the key commercial business districts and state administration areas. So for Roseau, which is our commercial center, and also Portsmouth, which is another smaller but still a commercial center, we try to minimize the interruption of that. So based on these two key principles, then we develop our load shedding program around that. So that's basically how we set it up.
All right.
Okay.
Very, 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 very significant and instructive. Absolutely. Exactly what you just said. This man just came and said it in a different way. So you do know what you're talking about, my brother. And I'm happy that we played this. Hopefully, we can play another response to a question from Adina Bella Valentine. But let me give you the opportunity, Carlos, to break that down even in more details for the average person in terms of what the official said. And what is his position again, Carlos? He's the, what is he?
He is the man responsible for all the power generation in Dominica. He is the generation manager, I think, the operations. Anyway, but he's the guy responsible for
the
everything
production of energy, electrical
energy
energy, and the
in
supply
Dominica.
of it. So
Yes.
he's a very significant man. But here's what I'm hear him saying in a nutshell is that this thing is out of his control. He doesn't have a handle on it. That's what I'm hearing. And he didn't even give a timeline as to when this will be brought under control. He spoke about the level in the lake, the lack of rain, depending on diesel. At this stage in our life, we're depending on diesel, maybe 90 for more a great number of capacity and generating capacity. Hence the reason why the bill is going up because the cost of power is determined by the cost of gas and diesel.
All right. Just to confirm, he's the chief operations officer.
Wow. So Carlos, in a nutshell, I just see this wonderful professional telling us that he doesn't have an answer as to when, so and how, because the variables do not add up. Is that what you get from his without criticizing him or the party or
Yes.
the company in any way?
Yes. I know these guys. These guys know what they're talking about. They're hard workers, and without saying too much, what I'm hearing from him is that they are unable to meet the demand that Dominica has with their current supply, and it is difficult for them to sort that out. Now, the general manager said in a couple weeks ago, I mean, was it last week? She was on I think the last press conference with the prime minister. Either this one or the one before that. She was on there and she said that October we would get a solution to the power issues that we're having. Well, we're in October now. I've already seen the list for tomorrow, and the social media is is going crazy with those lists. As a matter of fact, there's a running joke that persons are looking for their name on the list, name of their community on the list, like a common entrance results paper. So yes, the list, we still have those lists of people, and he mentioned that they're trying to minimize the downtime in the commercial area, but those things are unavoidable because if he's talking about a generation shortfall and you're looking at the areas that produce the high amount of demand, the, the areas that demand the most out of the grid, it is those same commercial areas that go to require a lot of supply. Yeah, you're muted, so if you're giving a comment, you're muted. So Mr. Stamp, yes, you mean well. However, even with their own actions, they have left a lot of those people without. Well, it's unavoidable, but
Mhm.
they have left a lot of those people in those commercial areas without power. I recall us just last week walking through the capital and seeing one of the proprietors of one of the well-known barbershops in town sitting outside on his step. He said, "Bro, what? I know you have battery-powered machines. So what's going on? I mean, you can continue to say, boy, brother, let me tell you something. It's not easy to be inside there with no fan and no AC and no light. I can tell you, Alex, to cut hair without light, it's very difficult. You have to run a barber. If you notice, all barber shops you go to, they're well lit. And hell, you don't go to barber shops anymore, right?
Nah,
You,
I have
you,
developed a mechanism which prevents me
you,
from spending X amount of money twice a week sometimes. So
yeah, I do myself off and on, but I when I'm ready to fix up, I have to go by visit
Well, you
all of
well,
my private hours.
you politicians need to adopt a constant look.
Yeah,
We lowly professors don't have such luxury. We work with the program. Nah, I'm just teasing you, yes. But the
but
barbers are very important people in society.
I went up north to one of the and I visited one of these um, food establishments. And while I was there, I was, of course, the topic on the tip of everybody's tongue is the power loss. So while passing, I didn't start it. He came and started talking about it. He has a generator, but it's not functioning, and he has over $13,000 worth of meat in his freezers,
Wow.
and he's afraid of losing his stock that he needs to supply his customers, that he needs to make his money to pay his rent of the place
Hold,
that he holds.
hold on. The meat is his stock. He owned it already, or does he have it on like not lease on
Is
what do you
his
call it again?
stock?
On
Is his
bond? Is
stock?
it on bond?
No, his stock. His stock.
Wow. And if the remains inconsistent, he could lose the quality of the meat and he would have to get rid of it.
Alex, I can confirm to you that there is a supermarket which had to throw away all of the meat in its freezer during a power loss over a weekend because some of the
But
meat started to spoil.
but of course, Domlek did compensate them, right?
Well, I'm not sure the compensation part, but that had to be done. I'm aware of that. So the public has been suffering from that thing. Now, let's go back to the politics. Let's go back to the politics. I'm also aware that this problem has been identified for a long time now before we started experiencing it. There is
Hmm.
a policy that has been put in place, which I agree with, by the way, that we should be on renewable energy generation by 2030. So, as a result of that, the purchase of additional generators. What I'm not sure if it was disallowed or if it was frowned upon, but Domlek has not been able to do that. No, and that may have been the reason why Domlek changed hands.
So, my friend, so you are saying that our government purchased a poison chalice then?
Now, our government has been of the impression that they're going to start geothermal next week, and we're going to start geothermal just now. So because we're starting geothermal soon, we don't need more generators, which is a good idea. But is it working? We're not hearing much about it, more than to say they want to spend more money after having spent over $100 million or $150 million in geothermal, and we yet to light a candle. Alex, I'm of the firm belief that if we had spent $10 million of that 150 or 100, or it could have, or maybe they'll come back and tell us it's 80. If they have spent a fraction of that money on not the commercial, but on the locals, the people of Dominica, plus the people in the small shops, not the big hospital and the say for example DBS, for example. I'm not talking about those kind of companies. I'm talking about the person with the small shops, the lady selling an ice pop in St. Joseph, the lady with a little supermarket in Charlottesville, the gentleman in Newtown. You know those kind of places there, and you allow them. You put a program in place where everybody, Alex, I know you have a home in Dominica. They put a program in place where you could go to say Ed Bank. Ed Bank is government bank. Put a $10 million there for everybody to be able, whether it be half loan, half grant, but you allow your country. You say we want renewable by 2030. That's the direction we're going. So if you want to put solar panels on your house, if you want to do wind generation, you these are the areas that you can go to. I know Mr. Nassi set up a company, and there's Ina Alexander who set up and other people who are into that business. We you have those the same way you need a reputable person to assess a vehicle, a reputable person to provide you with renewable energy so that it can be done safely with the supervision of the IRC, and you allow everybody to have their own generation power.
At the
That would
moment,
ease that would ease off the strain on the grid. That alone would do that.
so
And while you
the money you're speaking about would be money for soft loans or grant or something.
whatever it is that the country can afford to do, what if the country can afford? I'm not in a position where I can see the actual figures, so I would not just make a blanket statement or white or demand. But I think that whatever we can do, we should do, or we should have done. We should have already done, because that 2030 um, policy has been there for quite a number of time, quite a number of years. It's not something that just came about because of the Domlek situation. As a
Probably,
matter of fact, the Domlek situation came about because of that policy. Now you have
go ahead.
mechanisms of around it.
Well, what I'm saying is probably the idea is for governments to be able to control the generation again, and that they will give it to people as a sort of in a sort of a socialist kind of a tendency, as opposed to people owning their own means of generation. So probably your idea is different from what the government is thinking of, because and there are countries where the government control the grid, and whenever government control those things, you always have problems. I cannot see why a government should be controlling an electricity supply grid, water, and these things. That it should be in the hand of productive private sector who find ways to do things. I'm not saying anything bad about any government, but the record in terms of government control of certain things, although there are countries where the government must have a hand, but there should be more private sector investment involvement in not just the ownership in the operation of those major social services, and power, electricity, water um, should be in the hands of people who don't really hold a political side, so to speak. People
Yeah,
who
I'm glad that you said it that way, because to my understanding that there is some private sector arrangement with the power generation business.
for
We
for instance,
Yes,
for instance, right, the people on the board of directors of the power company should not be seen as people who support a particular group. They should be all professionals who understand what the grid is about and how we can assist the population with the best coverage at the least cost without any competing things like as you know, that would mar the decision. You see what I'm saying, Carlos?
mhm.
So I'm not too sure that the arrangement in Dominica is like that. I'm not saying that the people on the board are partisan, but you do not want to have too much government in certain areas, because in small societies that can be a problem. So probably the policy moving forward should be to depoliticize the distribution of power, of water, energy, even things like telecommunications and so.
Voila, TV. And this has affected Dominica in so many ways. We are so far back from where we were more than 20 years ago.
When we were,
I'm still hurting from the fact, not because that I used to work there, but I understand the importance of having local programming. I'm hurt over the fact that we have lost the sole provider of local programming in Dominica. That was Mapping TV. Everybody used to be as religiously looking forward to listen to either Tim Dura, Failure Remy, Julian Morris, and others delivering the news.
Lennox Clinton too, and what about and the
What
other social
about
programs, yeah?
Sharon with her woman in need program?
Yeah.
And there were so many. Look, anyway, let's not get this sidetracked from the topic of discussion. But the fact remains, local and private investor, private sector involvement in major industries are important. We cannot keep leaving everything to the government.
But do we leave it to the government, or is it that the government is aggressively pursuing the control of it? This is
Well, it's not. It seems, it appears to be silently forced because the opportunity for other persons to purchase mapping has been on the table. I know of two persons before it was sold to Flo, and the management there killed it off. Of two persons who wanted to purchase the company, and one was a team headed by the previous manager, owner, and another team who I don't want to call the names, but I am aware of that having been in place, but they were not allowed to purchase it.
why
Obviously,
they didn't put up the money.
the money was available for purchase, as far as I'm aware.
So,
I guess they were happier with the plan that the eventual purchaser had.
but right now, isn't the TV business under the control somewhat quasi of government in some way in terms of the board, the constitution of the board? I mean, I do not know.
No, the way that, well, I'm not, I would have to read that the broadcast act again.
There's
But
a there's a broadcast act.
yes, there's a you have to, it's on the government. Yes, I would have to read it again. But in my humble opinion, if it's not like that right now, there should be a stipulation in it that these telecommunication providers, or Digicel and Flow, provide television, but it's
Yeah,
not like how it used to be before. There needs to be a stipulation where a certain percentage of their content needs to be local.
because I remember Saturn and my opinion, this was, I mean, they were more than 50% local. Eh? And
Voila.
right now, these are owned by other big companies, and the content is not local. I think
The-
I had a link. Okay, I can get local TV. I can get TV from all around the world. And when I pull up Dominica, I'm getting Flow TV, but on a Saturday morning, I'm seeing Dora the Explorer. I'm like, really? I expected
Voila.
a
And just yesterday, Independence has been opened. Now, what
yeah,
used to happen before? You get all your Independence programming right there on mapping or
yeah.
SAT.
It was a little kind of bizarre, jarring, if you ask me, that I'm seeing on a Saturday morning Dora the Explorer, which is a bit, for Caribbean TV, for,
So now content producers have had to be forced to move into more creative means to put out the local programming. Hence the and you have to give flowers to persons like Emmeline Ansem with Emo News, and Lynn with Mystilix Mitchell. These are the local content
The
producers.
Jerome guy is not bad too. Is he still producing? I've not seen his work in a little while.
Yes, he is producing Jordan. Jordan, you're making reference to.
Jordan, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And again, we're speaking about these. We're not really talking about the politics as yet, but in our overall plan of things, we have a major thrust for the production of local content.
Yes.
And these suppliers, who we're not criticizing, we're just actually analyzing, we hope with a community government in place would be willing to work with us to try to engender more and more local programming. In fact, we have an idea to create an industry like a Hollywood, Bollywood, um, I know a name that we have published already or we haven't, type of industry where those people you mentioned can make money. And not just them, but many people can make money. We can have Dominica's own soap opera. I mean, the kind of content we have for daytime TV is second to none in the world. So we can have dramatic series, we can have entertainment series, we can have bouillon series, we can have dive-in series, car racing series, we can have a number of series daytime. So, and in our plan, a block of the day would be just local, between like 5 o'clock in the morning to about maybe 12 o'clock, midday to 1 o'clock, local. And then you get into other regional news and other options. But that block in the mornings would be generally local program. But we can, that's for the manifesto, Carlos, and we'll speak about it at some other time.
And anybody who has been following me before my history in media would know that this is a particular passion of mine. The local content. And I remember guys like Davis George,
My
who,
countryman.
yes, Davis is very passionate about local programming.
Yeah, my
You
countryman.
understand? Um, I myself have had the opportunity of having a channel on mapping where I used to and do you know about it, Alex? Do you know about the Caribbean Video Network, the
Yes,
CBN?
yes.
This was running in every single restaurant in Roseland.
Yeah, I remember
Any
that.
any entertainment place that people would gather on, and they had mapping, it would be on CBN.
Yeah, I
And a
remember. Oh, that
lot,
was your channel?
that was my channel.
C Media?
Yes, it was the Caribbean Video Network.
Was that channel 13 or something? What was it?
It was channel 82.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that content, but that was amazing. And wasn't it possible for people to own a channel or purchase a channel for content as well? And this,
Yes, it was. And it was. But you see, Alex, those things, it's again, it has to take leadership with vision, because you're seeing things like that going on. People producing people because at that time, Alex, the market for producing music videos had blossomed very much. Everyone was a video producer. You had the 365, you had the Chadambos, you had even myself, you had LJ Productions, you had um, Joanza, and others producing music videos for our local artists. And right now, this has gone down very.
so
But
I
but
know
we on the
we
power
segue a
issue.
little bit and we can come back to that entertainment some other time. But
Yes,
in fact, we're still talking about power. Because without power, we can't do the things that we are doing.
yes,
Um, So we are seeing there that with the lack of consistent and reliable power, there can be a situation of security risk. And I can tell you an example that I have on not one or twice, but on several occasions, a business place, which I will not identify right now, and the owner had to stay back because Domela could say that lights would come back at a certain time, and the lights never come back on time at the time that they announced. So if they promised lights would be back at 8, 10, 11 o'clock, lights still has not come back in the evening. And people are expecting the power to be able to lock up their businesses properly with I guess, their gates or whatever that has to go up. to make sure you secure your place properly. And people would sit down in their cars, sleeping. The kids are restless, waiting for power just to secure their premises and their inventory before they go to their homes, whatever the case might be. And that is a problem. I do not know whether Domlek is aware of that, but that I know is affecting many businesses. With And that can be a security problem. If you just leave and go, your place is not secured properly, then you lose all your inventory. That is a security problem, not just for small businesses, but for larger businesses and for even other private and public sector organizations as well, Carlos. So security becomes a major problem with the lack of consistent supply of power. Am I wrong to say that?
No, you're not wrong to say that. You're not wrong to say that. And even with the increasing crime, no power means
More cover for crime.
voila.
And yeah, and if a place is not lit, unless the people are walking, people could get in harm's way. Young ladies could be assaulted, maybe even sexually. And because dark gives a cover for nefarious activities. Uh, so yes, so that is another issue as well. The social life is suffering because people cannot get to congregate outside, and of course, people get a little bit more stressed and tense. So a lot of things can result from the lack of power.
So again, Alex, I need to point out. I mean, yes, we have to talk about the issues, and a lot of people like to say, what? Okay, so now that you have identified the problem, what would be the solution? The solution is we move into a more the same renewable 2030. Let us move aggressively in that direction and let us not wait for geothermal. Allow persons to get their own self-generation setup, their own solar systems, whether it be you give a tax subsidy or you put a little some money there for the homeowners to go to purchase their equipment to have at their homes. Let's get something going. As far as I'm aware, you're allowed 25 25 kilowatts a day of daily production, so self-generation without having to need a license. The only thing is that the IRC needs to certify your setup. Obviously, they don't want you to have power at your home, and then in Kalibishi they cut power to do some repairs on the line, and Alex house have power coming into the giving supply to the line, and a man trying to fix it, he gets electrocuted. So if your home has to be isolated. You have to be properly set up. Properly set up for that. But we need to move aggressively in that direction.
Allow people the license and the freedom to,
Again,
at their own
yes.
pace, procure their own generating capacity, which would lessen on any public private sector concern to do so, which would be in line with the overall 2030 plan.
Now, Alex, listen to this. A simple thing. Electric cars are duty free, tax free, VAT free in Dominica because of the same renewable 2030. The government thought it prudent that you allow persons to bring in so that you could encourage the movement in that direction. Would you imagine if 10% of the cars in Dominica were electric? Can you imagine that at this present stage? You imagine what would happen?
Yeah.
Now the operations manager of Domlec said how much was the demand?
It is 17 point something, and they can do 15 now.
Right. If there were
15 point
if
something.
there were so many electric cars, that number would be higher. Because at the end of the day, you come home, you need to plug your car to charge, like your phone. You need to plug your car for it to charge.
And we
And
have
if you
duty
need,
free electric cars.
yes, we have duty free on electric cars. And if you and if you're waiting for that Domlec power to charge your car overnight, and Domlec cuts power, you can't get to work tomorrow. No,
but
I also saw a thing being floated around of having electric buses. So the public transportation system would be an electric bus setup. Can you imagine that being in place in a situation like that right now?
that can be a problem. And it is the same system that is promoting this as a way forward. That is now that has that is, so to speak, not delivering the power, the generation capacity as of now. So we have a little problem. I think there's an inconsistency or a shortfall that probably a new group of people would be better able to manage with a different kind of a plan. That's where we come in. That's where other people come in. And I think if we're waiting for 2020 when things are regularized, that is a long time to have power sharing.
2030.
2030, that's a long time, man, to wait for power for that to go through that power shedding kind of a rationing of power. I mean, I don't know, man. Something has to happen because the people cannot continue to be
Alex,
those blackouts.
Alex, and it is so embarrassing. But we don't have much time left on this program. I just need to put this in. It is so embarrassing that we have qualified people in Dominica know the work because Dominica has been operating for more than 30 years. They know their work. They know what they're talking about. So you're now telling these people who have been working, breaking their back, doing their work for self and country, that their work is not good enough, that you have to import somebody else to tell them something that they have already told you because probably you don't believe their word.
Well, that's a Dominica seem to be a new culture, or maybe not new, too new, but that
No,
seems
it's
to
not.
be
It's not new.
a trend because we knew as a people what would work best for our elections in terms of a reform, and we imported somebody else from the Caribbean to tell us what we already knew. And I'm not even sure that's a different topic, but I'm not even sure what was told to us was what we knew. I mean, we
We
were,
also knew that to flatten land to create an international airport requires an excavator, requires rollers, requires graders, but we have boatloads of them coming down, and we have. I'm not saying that we have all the equipment that we need to do it, but we have people who are qualified who own those equipment, and we sideline those people to import.
yeah. Well, we have to just fix. We have to find a way to fix this. I think what has to happen is the people who have been in for a little while have been in for too long, and then they have lost the zeal to do those things that we are speaking about, and probably it's time to give them a little rest, and we will try our best to sell our message to see whether this message would take traction. People would allow for a different team of people to lead us into a new dispensation. But it's at this time, I cannot see people demanding power and not being able to get it because when people demand, you deliver. You should not be able to give because when you give, people have to pay for the demand that they're demanding. And in the current state of the world, not to be able to generate enough power for people to consume is a security problem. It is a calamity that has befall us, and we're hoping that sooner rather than later, hopefully in a year or two, maybe less, when the government changes, that will be rectified because the government can and probably should be changed after 20 how many years of uninterrupted incumbency. It really has not worked for us. And that's, I think, is the crux of the matter. Not even the wonderful folks at Domlek. I think it's more administrative matter from the policy level. And we need to change our policymakers. My view, others may share a different view, but I think that's one of the things that we can do.
Alex, Alex, I would like to endorse this statement of yours, previous statement of yours, um, and just try to re-emphasize it a bit. The problem that Domlek is facing is not a result of Domlek. It's a result of our malmanagement of the country. So the problems in the country not only affect us financially, it affects us with our power as well. And soon we'll get problem with water too. If they're not doing the things that are necessary. Look, just recently they had a pipeline which got ruptured in
Trafalgar. Mhm.
Trafalgar. That affects the the hydro system in Trafalgar. That's where already we have in low lake levels, low water levels in the lake because of the limited rainfall that we have. For us to be losing the precious limited water that we have.
But, but we have a water problem already, eh? Because we importing more water, I think, than we are actually
Oh,
consuming sufficiently.
let's not even go there.
So maybe that's for another program. But my friend, we have gone through the 60 minutes. Let's not go beyond our time. I'm not sure whether you have anything else to add. Now will be a good time as we wrap the program up, my friend. Is there anything you want to say before we leave?
I just want to say that to go back to one of the first statements that you made when I started speaking on this. We're here. Anyone who wants to reach out and talk to us, we'll be happy to talk to you and let you know what one on one what would be our plans when Dominicans decide to put a team unity government in office to replace this government and put Dominica back in the way that we should be. Because Dominicans want to work, Dominicans want to produce, Dominicans want to make money. And with that, Alex, Mr. Bruno, thank you for your company this afternoon.
This has been our program on the Round Table. We're going to be here again on Sunday for another exciting program. Thank you guys for being here. Have a wonderful week. Stay progressive and let's engage. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for at least listening and stand by for a call to action whenever that call is. Take care now. Until next week.